The absolute Batman is here to protect Gotham from Black Mask and his party animals. Welcome to the Comicstorian Full Story channel, where you get old and new full stories from Comicstorian in one place to give you a better viewing experience. Today's full story is Absolute Batman, issues 1 through 6, the first full arc in Scott Snyder's run, known as The Zoo. I hope you enjoy. Sometime in the past, a young Bruce Wayne leans over the sign for the Bat House, his eyes widened in fascination with the mural. But he turns when his father calls out to him. Thomas Wayne gathers his class at the Gotham Zoo, informing his son that there will be time to visit the Bat House later. But now, a motorcycle roars through the dark and grimy streets of Gotham. It's different from the last time the writer was here. The outward appearance is a shinier city, raising up into the night sky, taller and brighter than before. But the writer knows the truth. He passes the homeless tents to alleys. He sees the criminals waiting in the shadows for someone to witlessly walk by. He turns the motorcycle down an alley and finally stops at his safe house. Alfred Pennyworth pulls off his helmet as he looks around the dark streets. But he doesn't see anything. He chains the motorcycle to the building before heading inside. The safe house is small, allowing him enough room for a kitchenette and a bed. His arsenal displayed on the wall. While his tea brews, Alfred tries to reach out to Julia, his daughter. He doesn't even know if she still lives in Gotham, as they haven't spoken in years. And there is no answer. He leaves a message with a sigh. He finally sits down with his tea and boots up his secure computer. Pennyworth signing in. Connection secure, he reports. There's a brief moment before his handler finally starts speaking. Tea as good as you remember? His handler asks. Alfred shrugs. Delightful. What's the assignment? Images flash across the screen as the handler explains that in the past 3 months, a gang known as the Party Animals have been sowing chaos across the city, raising the murder rate in Gotham by 700% on their own. Alfred sighs as he hears the reasoning. I read the docket, but can I ask why you pulled me out of Singapore? I was this close to the target I've been chasing for months, he says. You're needed there. Your assignment is strictly surveillance. Gather information on the Party Animals, but do not engage, his handler orders. There is a momentary pause before they continue. One note, there might be another player in town. We've only caught glimpses, but he seems to be circling the gang as well. If he gets close, you have authorization to engage him, the handler orders before signing off. Alfred sighs in the quiet safe house. He finishes his tea before picking up his pistol and jacket and heading back out into the night. Stepping outside, he stares in surprise for a moment as he sees that the chain on his lock was cut and his motorcycle is gone. I hate this town, Alfred hisses through gritted teeth. The next day, Croc's gym. Massive fists smacking against a heavy punching bag. Bruce Wayne moves quickly for a man his size, his fist and feet slamming into the bag, drawing looks of shock from those around him. Memories of that day at the zoo flash through his mind. His final moments with his father. The class was looking at the lions, and Thomas discussed with his son that the family would be going out to a movie that night. As the memories of gunshots flash before his eyes, Bruce hits the bag hard enough to break through the canvas, sending sand everywhere. Really? Waylon asks as he walks over, cradling a crocodile. Bruce sighs and stares at the mess. Sorry, Waylon, he whispers. The gym owner shakes his head and smiles a little. So, let's make it 90 for the bag and 30 for the sand, he says. The sand comes in the bag, Bruce points out as he takes off his equipment and grabs his gym bag. For the cleanup of the sand, my friend. My time is costly these days, Waylon says as he pets his croc. Bruce can't believe his friend is going through with his exotic pet scheme and points out that having Ozzy help him out with the logistics isn't a great idea. He's gonna get you busted any day now, Bruce says as he pulls on his jacket. Bruce heads towards the door, with Waylon asking if he's coming to poker this week. Everyone's in this week. Eddie, Harvey, Oz. I even think Selena might, Waylon says. But Bruce shakes his head. At least tell me you're going to the town hall meeting tonight, Waylon presses. But Bruce once again shuts him down and heads towards the door. The whole city's coming apart. These party animals are destroying everything, Waylon shouts for him. I gotta go, Bruce calls over his shoulder, promising to pay for the bag. Waylon watches his friend leave. This is our home, man. Someone's gotta do something, Waylon sighs. He turns and looks at a picture of the old neighborhood friends. That night, aboard the yacht of Roman Cionis, Don Maroney and Don Falcone sit across from the masked crime lord at an overstuffed dining table. Nearby, a masked child and woman sit in the pool, while a masked DJ plays music nearby. Maroney leans across the table, pointing at Roman with his cigar. Well, rumor is, these party animal pieces of shit are your guys, Maroney snaps, reminding Roman that there are rules in Gotham. Falcone nods, explaining that Roman needs to take his gang and leave Gotham by dawn, or they're all dead. The woman gets out of the pool, putting on a robe and joining them at the table. Baby, show them the masks, she says as she sits down. The child joined them with a towel wrapped around his shoulders. Roman turns his masked face to her, perhaps smiling. Good idea, sweetheart, he says. Behind them, in the shadows of the ship, lights begin to click on, revealing masks in cases. Roman explains that these are death masks, molded from people's corpses. As more lights flick on, Maroney's eyes widen as he sees the face of his brother. The lights continue to click on as Roman shows both Maroney and Falcone the faces of all their lieutenants and family members in the mob. Roman sits and pours himself a glass of champagne. I have 2 places left, just for you, Roman says. The child is suddenly behind them, stabbing Maroney in the eyes before leaping up and pulling a garrote tight against Falcone's throat. Roman sighs and sips from his glass, ordering the DJ to turn the music up. The next day, the party animals continue their reign of chaos throughout the city. But as night falls, someone prepares to fight back. Bruce Wayne stands upon a rooftop, pulling on his cowl and leaping off into the night air. At the town hall meeting, Mayor Gordon stands before the people of Gotham, telling them that he is doing everything possible to end the party animal problem. But the people don't believe him, shouting that he is being soft on crime, despite his history as police commissioner. Outside, Alfred is in a nearby building. He watches as a large group of party animals approach the town hall, weapons at the ready. He taps a button on his comms. Pennyworth reporting, sir. Party animals are at the site, heavily armed. Mass casualties possible, sir. Permission to engage, he says. There's a brief pause. Permission denied, Pennyworth. Whatever happens there, observe only, the handler orders. Inside, people are still shouting, and a woman finally stands, looking not to Gordon, but to the faces of the crowd. People, look at us. This is what they want. All of us are fighting, scared, blaming each other, she says. She points to Gordon, explaining that she works with the mayor's office and she trusts him to solve this problem. But it's not just up to him or Commissioner Bullock. It's up to all of us to stop these killers, to come together, she says. Suddenly, the doors creak open and a grenade bounces into the room. The flashbang detonates and everyone screams in fear as they hit the ground. The doors burst open and masked criminals charge in, automatic weapons raised. But Gordon stands tall on the stage. Up here! Look at me! Whatever you want, "Deal with me," he shouts. The lead party animal nods and aims his rifle. "Bye, Jimmy," he calls and fires off a burst. The rounds chew through the podium and Gordon hits the ground, grunting with pain. The leader orders his men to fire, but something grabs them and pulls them outside, and the doors slam shut behind them. Officer Barbara Gordon charges forward and pulls the door open. Her pistol is ready, but she stops short as a masked man stares at her. "Whatever you hear, you do not open this door," Batman growls. Nearby, Alfred watches with interest, ignoring his orders to engage with a vigilante. He watches as Batman drops smoke pellets, obscuring himself from the small army of the gang. Gunfire rattles in front of the city hall, but the Batman moves quickly through the smoke, lashing out with punches and kicks to knock the gang members aside. His cape seems to harden as he twirls, using it as a weapon. The first group is down, but the second charges forward. Alfred watches as Batman reaches up and pulls the ears off of his cowl, revealing blades. He whirls through the crowd, slashing and cutting. Alfred is impressed. Batman's knife work is exact. He cuts where he knows to do damage, but not kill his opponents. An idealist. Bloody hell. Alfred sighs as he watches through his scope. Only a few of the party animals remain, and a large one steps forward, brandishing a meat cleaver. But Batman reaches into his belt, pulling out a set of pliers. He reaches up and pulls the bat signal off of his chest and connects them, creating a battle axe. The large party animal charges forward with a bellow of rage, but Batman whirls and cuts the hand from the gang member's body. The criminal looks down in shock, clutching at the stump where his hand used to be. "I hear they can reattach them sometimes. There's a hospital 3 blocks south of here. Or is it east? I forget. I'd run if I were you," Batman growls as he looks at the remaining criminals. They all suddenly turn and run, rushing down the steps of the city hall to escape. On the rooftop, Alfred nods. Well done. But if he were a true tactician, he'd have set a trap for those fleeing, Alfred thinks to himself. But he watches as Batman pulls out a detonator and blows up the street as the party animals reach it. Smoke fills the scene. Alfred pulls out his shotgun and descends upon the carnage. Moving silently through the smoke, he comes up behind Batman and aims his weapon. The high-tech shotgun begins to whirl to life. That is the sound of a DC-34 automatic shotgun, son. There are only 3 of them in the world. It could blow your brains all over this sidewalk before you even blink, Alfred hisses. But Batman moves fast, whirling and kicking the old man in the stomach. He snatches the shotgun away. "Sounds dangerous," Batman growls before leaping up and away. Alfred leaps to his feet, but is shocked to find the vigilante has disappeared. But the fight isn't over. Alfred spends the next several days tracking the vigilante, putting all of his skills to use in discovering that it is Bruce Wayne. He follows the young man as he moves around the city and learns all he can about him. Bruce Wayne grew up in Crime Alley. His mother is a social worker, his father a teacher. Bruce was smart, excelled in school, but his life truly began when his class took a trip to the Gotham Zoo. There was a shooter. Thomas Wayne had hidden the children in the bat house, shutting the door behind them before turning to confront the shooter. Bruce had called out to his father before they were locked in the dark. For a time, Bruce had lashed out at the world, but then he turned his life around, went to college, varying his studies, mechanics, chemistry, criminal psychology, military theory, socio-cultural history, preparing himself. Finally, he returned home and went to work for the city. Now, Alfred watches as Bruce walks through his old neighborhood, finally arriving at his destination. Alfred watches as Bruce stares up at a woman sitting on her front step. The woman smiles at Bruce. Seriously? Making your poor mother wait an hour out here on the cold, hard streets of Gotham? Martha Wayne asks. Bruce helps her up and puts an arm around his mother's shoulder. Sorry, Mom. I just swung by the zoo. I heard what happened at the town hall last night. Are you okay? He asks as he leads her inside. Alfred watches from across the street. He sighs. He doesn't want to take the kid in front of his mother. Later, Bruce sits in one of his many belfries, the penthouse of the richest buildings in Gotham, a place that is rented but never occupied. He taps a button on his computer setup. There's more to these ape skull masks than first appears. They aren't just for protection or intimidation. When I cracked one open, the circuitry inside, Bruce says into a recorder. But there is a sound behind him and he taps the button to cut the feed. Alfred is moving through the shadows, his pistol at the ready. He knows Bruce is aware of his entrance. Pretty smart, mate, hiding out in the tops of these buildings. All the top floors are owned by companies and oligarchs who never use them. Just hollow investments. You know this, because you worked for them, Alfred calls. He steps around the corner, pistol up and at the ready. But I'm closing you down right now, Alfred snaps. But Batman is standing behind him, stolen shotgun at the ready. He racks around and raises the weapon. Alfred cocks an eyebrow at him. Thought you were better than that, son. You get cornered and all those ideals go out the window? Alfred asks. He lowers his weapon and holds out his hand. Give me the gun, kid. You're no killer, Alfred orders. But Batman fires. The blast takes Alfred in the face and knocks him to the ground. He grits his teeth through the pain. Ugh, the damn kid converted the shotgun to non-lethal, he hisses. He looks up at the sound of a revving motor, and Batman suddenly screeches by on Alfred's stolen bike. You're not the only one who follows people. Batman growls at him before roaring forward and leaping out of the building, shattering the window and sailing off into the night. Alfred watches him, blood leaking from the tiny batarangs sticking in his face. Where the hell is he going to land? Alfred hisses. Later, Alfred sits in his safe house in front of his computer, his face bandaged up. I'll get him next time he interferes, he reports. Understood. Just stay focused on the party animals, the handler orders. There's another pause before the handler continues. Oh, thought you'd want to know. Your old target. We lost him somewhere in the Philippines. He's in the wind, the handler says. Meanwhile, in Manila, 2 helicopter pilots are preparing for a flight. The co-pilot turns to his partner. So just sir? Nothing else? He asks. The pilot shakes his head. Nope. Don't even know his real name. When you're one of the 30 richest men on the planet, you can do whatever you want, I guess, he says with a shrug. The pilot reminds his partner not to make any jokes. Why? The co-pilot asks as they watch the man approaching. The guy never laughs. Not at anything. Ever. The pilot begins to say, right before their boss slides open the helicopter doors. His face is obscured by the shadows as he climbs in. The Joker. Gotham Zoo, the past. Tears in his eyes, Bruce bangs on the door to the bat enclosure, unaware that his father's body is slumped against it. He shouts for his father, but there is no answer. Behind him, the noise has stirred the nocturnal creatures and one hisses at him, crawling towards him. The glass shatters as the colony rushes at him, seemingly called by destiny. Bruce screams as the darkness overwhelms him. Now, Alfred continues to observe the party animals, who continue their war against Gotham without any apparent purpose, while Batman continues his war against crime. Batman meets the party animals at the Gotham Aquarium, brutally fighting them off even after being stabbed several times. He rushes through the crowd, dropping several of them with brutal haymakers and clotheslines. He whirls to find the gang members swarming at him, but he yells out a bellow of rage and turns, smashing through the glass and flooding the entire room with water. Batman leaps up and hangs from the ceiling. "Wow, you got us wet. Not like you can stay up there forever," the party animals shout as they begin to regain their footing. The Batman reaches into his belt and pulls free a pellet. He drops it into the water, and in moments, it begins to swirl green and smoke. The pellet was a formula that turned salt water into hydrochloric acid. Minutes later, the party animals are rushing outside. Their skin and clothes smoke as they run into the waiting arms of the GCPD. And Batman is already gone, disappearing into the tunnels beneath the city. Alfred watches all of this on the CCTV that he's tapped into. He's been tracking Bruce, observing him when he can. He knows that Batman has bunkers throughout the city that he hides in, almost like caves. He watched as the party animals tracked Batman to his high-rise base of operations. Briefly, he thought of warning the hero, but it turns out Bruce didn't need the help. The explosion could be seen throughout the city. Alfred sighed as he watched the monitors. In the military, he was taught to advance forward and retreat and regroup. But he's starting to think that this Batman knows nothing about retreating and regrouping. He is just the physical embodiment of advance forward. The next day, Mayor Gordon leans back in his hospital bed. The TV is on with the reporters talking about the war between Batman and the party animals. The reporters are talking to former Mayor Hill, who has announced his run for re-election, noting that crime has gotten out of control under Mayor Gordon, and that the party animals and Batman are just the tip of the iceberg. "Turn it off, Bullock!" Gordon coughs as he leans back in his bed and sighs. Commissioner Bullock nods and turns off the TV. "Sure, Jimmy. I just thought you'd want to know what's going on," he shrugs. Bullock glares at the final images of Batman. "We need to take him down fast," Bullock snaps, explaining that Batman is forcing the animals to up their game in response to his presence. "You do remember when he saved your life, right?" Barbara Gordon asks from her seat at the edge of Jim's bed, but Bullock whirls on her. "Barb, for all we know, he's on their side. Some kind of secret partner, trying to make us look bad," Bullock theorizes. Suddenly, the door opens and Martha Wayne steps inside. "Sorry to interrupt," she says as a greeting as she crosses over to Barbara and gives her a big hug. The four talk for a moment before Bullock and Barbara are called away on police business. "The party animals are tearing up the Port Authority." Bullock sighs as he motions for Barbara to follow him and they exit the room. Gordon sighs as he watches his daughter leave. "What is this world we've given them, Mar? When we were their age, we were crazy, sure, thinking we could change it all. But it still felt possible then, you know?" Gordon asks wistfully. Martha nods as she opens a window and lights a cigarette. "Yeah, well, I guess they'll just have to be crazier than we were," she says with a shrug as she takes a few puffs. "You sound like Thomas," Gordon tells her. She nods. "I miss him, Jimmy. It's funny. I actually think he would have liked Batman," she admits. She hands the cigarette to Jim and he takes a few puffs from it, coughing only a little. "You know, I still think about it every day. When we found him," Gordon says. His memories flashing back to finding Bruce in the bat enclosure, covered in animals as they swarmed over him. He didn't even see Bruce at first underneath all the bats, until he screamed, scattering the creatures. Martha's own memories flash back to Bruce as a child. He became subdued after his father's death, withdrawn, didn't want to speak to her, didn't want to see his friends. He had just shouted at her, yelled for her to leave him alone. She didn't know it, but he had thrown his science fair medal out the window and collapsed on his bed as tears spilled from his eyes. Now, elsewhere in the city, Bruce Wayne has accepted Waylon Jones's invite and joins his old crew for poker. They gasp in shock and launch friendly barbs from across the room as Bruce removes his jacket and sits down. "Gracing us with your presence?" Oswald shouts. But Bruce shrugs and smiles. "Lay off. I've been busy," he tells him.
"Bruce, will you please sit down so I can go back to counting cards?" Edward says.
Harvey begins to deal, flashing a politician's smile. "We're playing for the big pot. 1,700 and change up for grabs," he explains to Bruce. Bruce glances over at the empty seat, normally reserved for Selena.
"Anyone heard from her lately?"
Edward asks. Wayland shrugs. "I got a postcard a couple months ago from Cairo," he tells them. The old group of friends sit and play for a while, swapping old stories and discussing current events. Finally, Bruce ups the ante and puts a party animal mask on the table, bringing gasps of surprise from his friends.
"Where do you get that thing, man?"
Oswald asks, leaning in to peer through the mask's dark eyes. "I found it. I'm heading the repair crew at City Hall," Bruce tells them with a shrug. Edward leans over it, studying the machine work and electronics.
"I see 4 different chips in the outer weave,"
Edward tells them, explaining that it could act as a GPS and tell you where the party animals would attack next. He leans even closer, his eyes widened.
"But these other chips, these are premier," he says softly.
Edward glances at his friends as he lifts the mask.
"I'll be borrowing this,"
he says with a smile. Bruce glances at Oswald, and the conversation shifts to what the party animals could want in Gotham. The crew continues to play cards as Oswald notes that the gang doesn't seem to want anything. "As far as I can tell, these guys just want to wreck the city," Oswald says before folding. Harvey thinks the whole thing is political, that everything Roman and the party animals are after is power and money. Harvey doesn't know much about the party animals, but he has heard that former Mayor Hill has been taking in a lot of money for his re-election campaign. "This guy I know works for him. Says Hill is riding high on some new purse he calls his golden chest." Harvey explains as the game ends. Later, Batman slips through the window of Hill's campaign office, moving smoothly through the shadows despite his size. He picks the lock to Hill's office and cracks his computer, searching through the files. "Come on, where are you?" he hisses in the darkness as he searches through the files. But then he comes across a folder labeled Arkham. Suddenly, the monitors on the wall light up, revealing Roman Cionis' masked face. "Well, hello there. Finally, Batman, we meet. Unfortunately, we don't have much time to chat," the villain says. Batman glares at the image, but Black Mask only smiles. "I like you, I do. You're my kind of party, so I'll make you a deal. Everything you've ever wanted. But you do have a problem. We tipped off the whole GCPD, and my people have the building surrounded. Still, I'll be waiting for your call. All you have to do is survive," Roman says before the monitors go dark. Batman turns as party animals in the building over launch a rocket at the office. Fire and smoke fill the room as the rocket explodes. But when the smoke clears, Batman is standing ready. He moves fast, rushing towards the elevator. Forcing the doors open, he leaps down the shaft until he lands on one of the cars. He cracks the maintenance hatch to find Alfred Pennyworth waiting for him. "Hear me out," the Brit says as Batman drops down next to him. "You're a good detective, kid, but I've learned some things about the party animals. They're not what they seem." Alfred explains, telling Batman that he thinks they can help each other. "Just give me a chance to explain," he continues. Batman stares at him for a moment. 30 seconds, he growls. Alfred nods. "All right, thank you. But first we need to get out of here. I have a car hidden out back, unless you have one," Alfred says. Batman nods and hits a few hidden switches. "You're standing in it," he says, gritting his teeth as the whole elevator car suddenly lurches forward. Outside, the police are shocked as a massive bat-themed dump truck crashes through the wall and drives over their vehicles. Meanwhile, in the past, young Bruce is crying on his bed, but a voice calls to him from the window. "You lose something?" the girl asks. Bruce looks up in shock at Selena sitting in the window. She smiles at him and motions him to follow her. "Get up, you're coming with me." In the past, Selena Kyle leads young Bruce Wayne across the rooftops, shouting for him to be careful and follow her. She walks a quick tightrope across a cable connecting two buildings and looks back at him with a smile.
Are you crazy? We could die!
Bruce shouts as she looks back at him with a smile, but she shakes her head.
Bruce, it's only 2 stories. At most, you'd break a leg or 2, she tells him.
He looks down in fear, but Selena waves her arms to get his attention, telling him to focus on her and only her. Don't see the drop. Don't see anything past this ledge right here, she tells him. Bruce nods and begins to make his way across, but he slips at the last moment, his arms pinwheeling as he begins to fall. But Selena reaches out and grabs his hand, pulling him to safety. Look at me, she says softly. You're okay, she tells him as they walk across the rooftop, still holding hands. Present day. There is a roar of a massive engine as the Bat dump truck roars down the Gotham Broadway. Alfred pushes open the doors that were once attached to an elevator and looks around in astonishment. What the hell are you doing? You can't just plow straight through the city. They'll overtake us in no time. He shouts at Batman. Behind them, there is a roar of motorcycles as the party animals give chase, pulling free weapons and cheering with joy at the excitement. You'd better talk fast, Batman growls, reminding Alfred that he has 30 seconds to plead his case. But Alfred is distracted as the party animals open fire and bullets begin to bounce around him. In my field, there are rumors of a man called Black Mask, Alfred shouts as he draws his pistol and returns fire, explaining that Black Mask funds terrorism, government destabilization, and violent disruption throughout the world. I believe that Roman Cionis, the leader of the party animals, may be the Black Mask, Alfred shouts over the sound of his pistol thundering in his hands. 25 seconds, Batman growls. His eyes widen as one of the party animals pulls out a rocket launcher and fires, but the Bat truck suddenly swerves, screeching around a corner. Alfred reloads and keeps firing, tagging several of the gang members. Bloody hell. We need to abandon this thing and find a vehicle that can go fast, Alfred shouts. Inside the cockpit, Batman almost seems to smile in the shadows. I'll pretend you didn't say that, he says as he taps a button. Alfred looks around in surprise at the screech of hydraulics, and suddenly, the dump truck transforms into a high-speed monster truck. You have 20 seconds, if you manage to hold on, Batman calls as he steps on the gas, and the monster truck's engine belches flames as they speed down the road. The party animals push their vehicles to keep up, still firing at Alfred as he pulls himself inside the truck. Listen to me, damn it! I can help you! Alfred snaps. Batman nods. Prove it. 15 seconds, he calls. Alfred drops down into a gun turret and activates the weapons. He opens fire, the machine guns firing mini bat projectiles with an electrical charge, stunning and taking out the vehicles of their pursuers. If Cionis is Black Mask, then he's too big to fight, too dangerous, Alfred shouts, but Batman shakes his head. I'll build bigger then. 10 seconds, he growls, but Alfred disagrees. He continues to fire as he suggests that Batman take the deal that Cionis offered him, to stand down for 1 week and receive a reward. Quit! Forget it! Batman snaps. He taps another button, and a massive wrecking ball on a chain drops out of the back of the monster truck. It bounces along behind them, taking out several of the party animal vehicles. Alfred shakes his head in amazement, and he turns back to Batman, explaining that Batman won't be quitting. He can take whatever Cionis pays him for the deal and use it to build stronger, better, save lives through diplomacy. You can set up Batman as something real in Gotham, something with impact, Alfred says, explaining that his employers will gather intel on Black Mask's activities in Gotham and eventually take him down. We all win, Alfred says. Batman suddenly hits the brakes, and the monster truck screeches to a halt. Alfred looks out through the ball turret and realizes that they are now surrounded by police at the end of the Gotham pier. There's no way back, and the bay is in front of them. Alfred readies himself and turns back to the radio. "We make a decent team, kid. Tell me you have something to get us out of this one, and let's keep it going," Alfred calls. Batman pauses for a moment before nodding. "The lever in front of you," he instructs. Alfred reaches down for the lever and pulls it, and the ejector seat is activated, and Alfred is launched into the air, splashing down in the bay in surprise. Batman hits the gas, and the monster truck launches off the pier and disappears into the bay. Back in the past, Bruce and Selena finally arrive at one of her favorite roofs. A small gathering of cats come out to welcome them, purring as Selena sits amongst them. "I heard you're in a new place. How is it?" Bruce asks. Selena shakes her head and continues to pet her friends. "Not there anymore," she says, explaining that while people like the idea of fostering a child, they don't usually like the reality. "Well, where are you now?" Bruce asks as he pets the cats around him. Selena smiles and looks up. "I'm here with you and them. I come up here and these guys, they always show up, purring," she says with a smile. After a while, the two continue their journey, finally arriving at an old movie theater. "So, why are we here? Really?" Bruce asks as they walk inside. Selena smiles and motions to a row of seats. "Because I want to show you something," she says softly. Suddenly, the movie begins to play, and Zorro appears on the screen. Anger flashes across Bruce's eyes as he glares at her. "What do you think you're doing?" he snaps. In the present, Bruce is sitting in the workshop of his friend, Edward Nygma. Edward motions to his robot that he has hooked up to the party animal ape skull mask. "Ask away, Bruce," Edward says with a smile as the robot turns its glowing eyes upon Bruce. "I came to talk to you, man," Bruce says, but Edward shakes his head, explaining that the robot, who he calls Al, has a map of Edward's brain and contains 4/5 of all human knowledge. Bruce sighs and finally agrees. "How do the party animals' ape skulls work?" he asks. Al explains that the mask has 3 functions. It protects the wearer's identity from all global deciphering means. It creates a wallet for the wearer that is connected to a highly protected network of cryptocurrency called Blackcoin, and it provides objectives and targets to the wearer that they can complete for payment. All members of the party animals can get quite wealthy, quite quickly, Al explains. Bruce nods. "How would someone disrupt this network?" he asks. But Al motions to the monitors nearby, and images from around the world begin to appear. "The network is far too expansive for anyone to bring down," he says, explaining that the satellites are connected around the world. Bruce ponders on this and then shakes his head. "There has to be some way," he says softly. But Edward steps forward, suggesting that they merely destroy the mask and forget all about this. "He doesn't want to help you, Bruce, even if he could," Al explains. But Edward shakes his head, explaining that he is merely looking out for Bruce's well-being. Suddenly, Bruce's phone buzzes. He answers it to hear Harvey Dent's voice. Harvey explains that he looked into the ARC M fund and discovered that a lot of it comes from a company called JK Holdings. Highly diversified around the globe, but they specialize in building secure facilities, private prisons, Bruce. And not just ordinary ones either. Black sites, Harvey says, whispering so that no one in his office hears him talking about this. Meanwhile, Commissioner Harvey Bullock is meeting former Mayor Hill on board a yacht at the docks. Hill smiles widely and holds out a hand. "Welcome! I appreciate you agreeing to meet with me," Hill says. Bullock shakes his hand, but doesn't smile. "You're not getting my endorsement, Hill. If that's why you invited me here, you can forget it," Bullock says. But Hill shakes his head and motions to the yacht. "Whoa! Slow down, Commissioner.
I'm not trying to steal you away from old Jimmy. I just wanted to introduce you to a friend of mine, Hill says. At that moment, Dr. Benjamin appears at the top of the walkway on the boat.
Mr. Cionis is waiting in the body room,
Dr. Benjamin says from behind his dark goggles. He leads them through the ship into a training room, where Roman Cionis is sparring with former heavyweight champ, Bibbo Bibowski. Bullock watches as the much smaller Cionis easily brings down the former champ. While Cionis is fighting, he explains to Bullock that he is a professional pacifist. I help bring peace to troubled areas of the world, Cionis says as he grabs hold of Bibbo's arm and snaps it at the elbow. Good places where the people are being taken advantage of by bad people. And this city, it could use some peace these days. Bad people are tearing Gotham apart, Cionis says. He scrambles across the mat and wraps his arms around Bibbo's neck and begins to squeeze. You have to get things under control. My people can get you plenty of choppers and tactical vehicles, all through state channels, all above board. So, what do you say? Cionis asks, ignoring Bibbo as he tries to tap out, and his eyes begin to go red. All right, man, he's had enough, damn! Bullock shouts. Cionis nods and releases Bibbo, allowing him to collapse to the floor. He stands, barely breathing heavily, and reaches for his robe. Don't worry about him, Commissioner. He'll be fine. Now come, let's talk about peace, Cionis says as he motions Bullock and Hill out of the room. In the past, Bruce stands and is about to leave the theater, but Selena reaches for him. I'm leaving, Bruce snaps, but his other friends are suddenly there, grabbing him and pulling him back into the theater seats, candy and popcorn in their hands. The hell you are, Oswald says with a smile as Edward throws popcorn at them. Popcorn attack! Bruce finally relents and they all sit down. They laugh and shout, enjoying being kids for a moment. In the back row, Martha Wayne smiles for a moment as Bruce enjoys his life again. Present day. Martha comes into the kitchen to find her son sitting and eating his breakfast. Bruce? You scared me. What is it, honey? What's on your mind? She asks. But Bruce explains that he was just in the neighborhood and stopped by to say hello. She raises an eyebrow, not fully believing him, but explains that she has to head out. I was just thinking that maybe with all the chaos in the city, you could kind of, I don't know, lie low, Bruce suggests. But Martha shakes her head, explaining that she is stepping up to help Mayor Gordon as deputy mayor. The chaos is exactly why I can't lie low, Bruce, she tells him. Bruce becomes angry, telling his mother that she is just painting a bullseye on her back. I believe in what Jim is trying to do, and I'm going to try and help. That's who we are, who I am, who your father was, Martha reminds him, and Bruce glares at her. And look how it turned out for him, he snaps. Martha glares right back at her son before putting her hands on his shoulders. I'm going to kiss you now, so I don't slap you, she says before leaning down and kissing him on the top of his head. Goodbye, Bruce. Clean up when you're done, she whispers before walking out and leaving him in the kitchen. The next day, former Mayor Hill holds a press conference announcing that Police Commissioner Bullock has endorsed his run for the mayor of Gotham, and Hill points out the chaos and crime in the city. That night, terror and fire spread in the darkness of Gotham as the party animals continue their war. Later, Bruce sits in another of his bunkers, this one at the old Gotham Zoo, now shut down. He's plugged into the party animal mask and hears Cionis' voice coming from his phone. That's right, 200 million to stand down for 1 week, and I'll make sure we go a little bit easier on Gotham. I hope you're smiling just thinking about it, Cionis offers. Bruce doesn't respond and sits there thinking. Think about all the good Batman could do with that kind of money. The cars, the weapons, the tech. He'll be larger than life, Cionis continues. Finally, Bruce interrupts him. Enough. I'll take the deal, he finally says. The past. The courtroom is quiet as a young Bruce Wayne takes the stand. The judge looks at those gathered. This morning, Mr. Chill was prepared to give a statement, but Mr. Wayne has requested to speak first, the judge explains. He looks down at Bruce Wayne, whose eyes are shut tight. You can go ahead now, son. What is it you have to say? The judge asks. Bruce opens his eyes, and a single anger-fueled tear runs down his cheek. A short time ago, the gangbangers stand on the rooftop, smiling at the apartment residents that are dangerously close to the edge. The leader of the gang steps forward and glances at those gathered. Go on, convince me. Tell me why you three alone think you should be exempt when everyone else chips in, he says. He motions to the city around them. Historic Park Row. Upkeep takes money. 10 Thieves isn't a gang. We only want to keep this place safe. And without proper funding, we just can't do that, the gang leader says as he steps forward, demanding to know why Mrs. Wynn refuses to pay. But she glares at him, refusing to pay anyone for the right to live in her own home. The gang leader sighs and reaches out and pushes her gently, sending Mrs. Wynn over the side of the building, and he turns to the others. See, if we don't stay vigilant, things get unpredictable real fast. You never know what could happen, he says with a chuckle. But he turns in shock as Mrs. Wynn is suddenly tossed back onto the rooftop. The gangbangers look around in shock, unaware of the shadow creeping up behind them. The cloaked figure opens his mouth, bearing sharp fangs as his eyes begin to glow. The bat lets out a screeching cry as it leaps among them. Wait, wait! One of the gangbangers shouts in fear as the cloaked bat leaps forward and bites into his neck. The gang member lets out a strangled cry and falls away, foam falling from his lips. The bat whirls, slashing across the next gang member with his claws. He whirls again as the gang leader draws his pistol and fires. Stay away, or I'll blow your damn head off, the leader shouts, but the bullets have no effect, seeming to just bounce off the dark wings of the bat. The monster steps forward and draws its own pistol, aiming it at the gang leader's head. But he hesitates, memories of his father flashing before his eyes. Thomas walked into the room as Bruce continued to work on his project. I chose a bat, Bruce says as he looks up from his makeshift bridge model. He shows his father, explaining that it's for the Young Engineers competition at the zoo. A lot of their animals come from distressed areas, so we have to build a bridge for a place like that, and theme it around an animal, Bruce tells him as he motions to the spires on his bridge, modeled after bat wings. Thomas looks at it, noting that it looks quite intimidating. I just wonder if that's the best strategy for a place in need. Intimidation? Thomas points out. The pistol shakes slightly in Bruce's hand, his father's words echoing in his mind. Suddenly, the door bangs open behind him as more gang members flood out. The bat whirls and leaps off the roof. His cloak billows as it catches the wind and he swings off into the night, seeming to fly away from the danger. Later, Bruce stands in his lair. He shakes his head as he stares into the fire. The criminals were afraid of him, but it was all theatrics. The animal noises, the fake teeth with paralytics, the claws and the gun. He is disgusted with himself, and he throws it all into the fire. He needs another way. Time passes. He continues to study, to train, to build and create. He needs to do better, to be the thing that criminals fear. He studies his city, moving out at night, watching the gangs and the corrupt GCPD. He finds where the Falcones and Maronis are bringing weapons and drugs in at the docks. They move in the open, unafraid of the police on their payroll. That night, an 18-wheeler pulls away from the docks, loaded up with illegal goods. Behind them, 2 men, 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 a remote-controlled car moves fast to catch up. It drives underneath the truck just as it enters a tunnel. The drivers have no idea, but their headlights suddenly illuminate a man dressed as a bat in front of them. "What the? Run him down!" the passenger shouts. But Batman is prepared. He hits a button on the remote control and the small car detonates, slamming up into the 18-wheeler and smashing the trailer into the roof of the tunnel. And the truck behind it hits the brakes, but screeches to the side and slams into the guardrail. The mobsters get out quickly, trying to figure out what happened, but Batman is suddenly there, leaping from the shadows. He lashes out with foot and fist, knocking the mobsters down in mere moments. Batman stands there as the last goon falls. He is barely breathing heavily. "I think maybe I figured it out," young Bruce tells his father as he shows him his newest version of the Bat Bridge. It's smaller now, less intimidating, but more functional, able to adapt to different situations depending on the area, like bats with echolocation. Thomas watches as Bruce shows him everything, and he smiles. "It's really impressive, bud. I love it," Thomas tells him. And Bruce nods. "Do you think it's good enough to win?" he asks. Thomas shrugs slightly and looks down at his son. "I don't know, but all that matters is that you feel like it's the best you can do. That it shows what's special about a bat, at its core," Thomas tells him. Bruce ponders this and questions how you can know what something is at its core. Thomas thinks about it for a moment and tells his son that at one point he wanted to be a heart surgeon, to help people. But eventually he married Martha and they had Bruce, which meant that he couldn't afford med school, so he became a teacher instead. Thomas explains that at his core, he wanted to help people, and helping children learn the skills they needed to succeed in life helped him do that. So at his core, he is doing what he wants to do. Bruce nods and thinks on his father's words. Bruce looks up at Court. His face is a mask of anger. "I know Mr. Chill gets to make a statement today," Bruce begins. He lets the court know that he has had time to reflect on what happened at the zoo that day, that he remembers being there with his class, there for a competition that Bruce had entered. Bruce explains that he looked back, and for a moment, he saw that his father was proud of him. He remembered seeing his father and feeling so happy. Another tear falls from Bruce's eyes and streaks down his cheek. And I knew it. In that moment, this was as happy as it gets. Ever. I wanted to stay in it, to never leave that moment, Bruce says softly. He glares at Joe Chill, his words coming out in a hiss. "You killed that happiness, Mr. Chill, forever. So I'm not staying for anything you have to say. I don't care what made you do what you did. I just need you to know that I hate you," Bruce shouts. The judge bangs his gavel, demanding order in his court as Bruce continues to yell, and those gathered begin to murmur. Long ago, young Bruce calls his father, asking him to come see his final project. Bruce explains that he thought about it, and at its core, the bat-styled bridge needed to be everything for the people who needed it, that it needed to be intimidating and adaptable. He pulls away the cloth, revealing the bridge with an even more bat-shaped design. It's got everything the other designs had, but this one, it's got an extra feature. It flies. It's lightweight, foldable. It could be dropped from a plane and parachuted down, so the people can set it up themselves. It'd be a tool to use however they need. They don't have to rely on the powers that be to set it up. It makes the bridge theirs. They can use it for aid, for defense, even offense, Bruce explains with a smile. In the not-so-distant past, Bruce continues to build bigger and better. He trains, making himself stronger. He studies the world. He creates his armor, his equipment. He finds his belfries, his bunkers around the city. He becomes what the city of Gotham needs. Intimidating, adaptable. He stands ready with the new equipment, a type of material that can harden and soften through the flexing of his wrist and hand. Record. Testing Bat Thumb. Bruce says to his computers. He grips his hand and the rod retracts, becoming a type of claw. He smiles. He's found his symbol. He creates Batman. He is ready. Night falls over the city, and the rich and elite gather for the annual Dance for a Better Gotham charity ball. Batman watches from the skylight above as the rich and elite mingle. He placed directional mics and listened in on their conversations. These people supposedly want to make Gotham a better place, but they really don't. They merely want to make themselves richer. They don't care about the city or the people that live in it. But Bruce isn't there for any of them. He is after Randall Powers, the man who owns the trucking company that Maroni and Falcone use. Taking out the goons and gangsters won't stop the shipments. They'll just get someone else to do it. But Batman has decided that if you take out the means of getting the guns and the drugs into the city, you make it too difficult for the mob to do their job. Suddenly, there is a buzz of a helicopter as it crests the building. A spotlight shoots down, and for a moment, Batman is illuminated.
You there! Lie down with your hands behind your back!
A cop shouts over the loudspeaker, but Batman whirls and leaps away into the night, swinging off into the darkness and disappearing. Later, Bruce has traveled to Blackgate Prison. Someone has requested to speak with him. Bruce walks into the visitation room and glares at the man behind the glass. Joe Chill just stares back. Anger flashes through Bruce, and he tightens his fist. Finally, he steps forward and picks up the phone. Well, you had something to say? Bruce asks the man who killed his father. Batman turns the motorcycle, revving the engine and roaring through the night, passing the waiting party animals on each corner, daring them to do something, to break the deal that he set up with Black Mask. Alfred is watching him with the tracker that he placed on the motorcycle, hoping the young vigilante doesn't do anything stupid, doesn't do anything to break the peace agreement. But Batman keeps moving, finally arriving at the meeting location they set up. Well done, Alfred whispers. Meanwhile, across town, Martha Wayne walks into the office of Mayor Jim Gordon, asking if he's ready to go. Look, Mar, I just want to say that I'm sorry that, Jim starts to say. No, we haven't lost yet, Martha reminds him. But Jim shakes his head, motioning to the TV press conference, pointing out that Harvey Bullock is thrown in with Hill. I didn't see that one coming. Stings, he whispers. But he turns to her, explaining that he isn't saying that he's sorry for potentially losing the election. He's sorry that they aren't turning on the memorial light at the Gotham Zoo. When you see Bruce, tell him I said so. Please, because that's what really stings, Gordon tells her. It was years ago, at the funeral for Thomas Wayne. The rain fell from the sky over Gotham, washing Bruce's face and hiding his tears. Go on, honey, Martha says as Bruce steps up under the shelter of Gordon's umbrella. You wanted to talk to me, Mr. Gordon? Bruce asks. Jim nods and leans down to the young man, explaining that his father was one of the bravest men he had ever met. He sort of shone with it. I see that when I look at you, Jim says. But Bruce doesn't look up, his face masked in shadows as he looks at the floor. Jim stares at him for a moment before nodding. I'll let you go now, but I also wanted you to know that they're going to tear down the zoo, okay? Build something practical. You won't have to look at it ever again. It'll be gone for good, okay? Jim asks. In the present day, Batman waits on the rooftop. Alfred continues to watch him from a distance, noting the young man's back tensing, as if preparing. Easy there, easy, Alfred whispers. He turns his night vision to the nearby rooftops, noting the party animal snipers and rocket teams, villains just waiting for Batman to make a mistake. You did it. You won, Alfred whispers to Batman, hoping the young vigilante understands. A helicopter buzzes in and lands, with Black Mask and his deranged family disembarking. "Hello there, let's make you rich," Cionis shouts. He steps forward, explaining that the money has already been placed into Batman's account. "I know. I already used it on something," Batman growls as he stands. Cionis stares at him for a moment. "Amazing! On what? How much did you use? I have to know," Black Mask shouts. In the past, young Bruce runs to Gordon, shouting that he doesn't want the city to tear down the zoo. "I don't want them to make something practical. I want something there that makes everyone look, something that shines," Bruce tells a surprised Gordon. Back in the present, Batman stands tall and taps a button. "I spent all of it," he says. The button activates the memorial light at the zoo, which shines into the night past the outline of $200 million in cash, casting a bat into the night sky over Gotham City. The light is bright, casting the entire rooftop in brilliant illumination. Black Mask looks up in surprise. "Huh, that is one ugly bat," he notes with disdain. He turns back to his men. "Party animals! The deal is off!" he shouts. The gang swarm the rooftop, rushing for Batman. "I don't need cars, planes, or computers. All I need is Batman." Batman growls as he rushes to meet the criminals. He whirls his cape around, lashing out at the party animals and slashing through them. He grabs the hardened, sharpened edge and stabs it through one man's leg. The man screams in pain, but Batman is already moving. He knocks another aside with a bone-cracking punch and kicks the leg from beneath another. The big man that Batman faced the other night rushes forward, a cleaver in hand, and he leaps on top of the massive vigilante's back. "Payback time!" The party animal snarls in Batman's ear. But the Dark Knight flexes his back and spikes stab out, piercing through the party animal's arm. "Ah! I'm stuck! Get me off of him!" The gang member shouts as Batman whirls and keeps fighting. He finally releases the spikes and allows the big man to fall. The rest of the party animals hesitate for a moment, not sure if they want to rush forward. And Batman glares at Black Mask. "All the crimes the party animals have committed, it was all manufactured by you, so you could profit. You don't care how many die," Batman growls, preparing to fight the rest of the party animals. Black Mask stares at him for a moment, before pointing and shrugging. "Nope. Fortunately, though, you do." "Fire," Black Mask orders. The nearby snipers open fire, but the rounds aren't meant for Batman. Bullets zip across the rooftop, hitting the members of the party animals and dropping them. "Everybody get down!" Batman shouts, moving to try and protect the gang members. But nets are fired next, and suddenly, Batman is pinned to the ground. He struggles for a moment, but the nets are too strong, and he can't break free. Black Mask steps in front of him, shaking his head in disappointment. "Man, you had it too, all right there. The ticket to the big party. All you had to do was reach out and grab it," he says. Batman roars with anger and reaches for Cionis, briefly grabbing his pant leg. But Cionis grabs him by the arm and twists it around, cracking a bone. Batman breathes heavily, but smiles as he glances up. "I have just what I wanted. Everything you set up here, everything you confessed to, it's already at every news station in Gotham," he spits. Cionis leans down so he's face to face with the Dark Knight. "My God, you actually think you achieved something here, don't you?" he asks. The woman steps forward, drawing a knife from Batman's cowl, and begins to slash him with it, drawing blood and screams of pain. "You think you're a hero, but I hate to tell you, pal, you're not even the main character," Cionis whispers as the child steps forward and hits Batman with a burst from a flamethrower. The big man is up next and pulls the bat symbol axe from Bruce's chest before knocking him off the rooftop. Batman plummets through the air, but his cape catches the updraft at the last second and acts as a parachute, slowing him down briefly before he slams into a car. The GCPD arrive quickly, buzzing over the scene as Batman crawls to safety in a car park. A squad car screeches around the corner, and Barbara Gordon is shocked as Batman steps right in front of her. She slams into him with her car and he flies through the air. Barbara hits the brakes fast and gets out, drawing her weapon on the still moving Batman.
"Freeze, or I will shoot!"
she shouts, but Bruce doesn't stop moving. He pulls open a manhole cover and crawls down into safety. "Then do it! Go on!" he gasps as he disappears. But Barbara doesn't shoot. She just stands there and watches him leave. Back on the rooftop, Cionis makes his message to Gotham City while his party animals leave packages all over the streets. He calls for the people to rise up, to cast off the yoke that society and the elite have placed on them, that struggling against the system isn't noble in any way, and that they all have a moment of pure ecstasy and acceptance as they burn the world to the ground. Later, Alfred steps out of the shadows into Batman's lair, finding the young hero trying to stitch himself back together. "Stop glaring and set my arm!" Bruce growls at him as he continues to stitch himself up, but Alfred shakes his head. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" he asks. Bruce nods, explaining that he placed a tracker on Cionis when he grabbed him at the end. "Help me close these wounds and Bruce starts to say, but Alfred shakes his head. "No, I'll never help you again. Goodbye, kid. And just know, what's coming next is on your head," Alfred says before turning and walking away, leaving Bruce alone in the shadows. Meanwhile, Martha and Jim step out into the streets, shocked to find the party animals have left a package on the corner. "Jim, what's going on?" Martha asks softly. "Oh no," Jim whispers as random people begin to arm themselves with weapons and party animal masks. Gotham City is burning. Roman Cionis has scattered crates of weapons and masks around the city, encouraging citizens to join his party animals and take up arms and commit crimes, with the promise of fighting the system and earning a lot of money. Waylon Jones watches the news from his gym, a bat in hand as he prepares to defend what he has built of himself. Suddenly, there is a sound of a breaking window. He turns and moves back through the shadows of his gym. "Oh, you picked the wrong gym. I'm the Croc, and I've been hungry for a fight," he calls. But a familiar voice answers him. "It's me, Way." Bruce gasps as he stumbles out of the darkness. Waylon moves to help his friend, but is shocked to find Bruce wearing a strange costume. Bruce looks up at him. His face was battered and bloody. "I'm Batman, and I need your help," he gasps. In the past, Bruce is sitting in the living room with all of his friends for a sleepover. Martha smiles and reaches for the light, wishing them all a good night and sweet dreams. But when she turns, a man is standing there with a gun. Maybe it's the same man who shot his father. Bruce isn't sure, but the man raises his weapon at the children. Martha steps in the way as the gun thunders in their apartment, and Bruce screams loud enough to drown out the echoes of gunfire. Bruce sits up sharply. The scream dies off as he awakens from the dream. He is alone, laying in his bed in the dark. Climbing out of bed, he heads downstairs to find his mother on the couch, looking through some family albums. "Mom, Bruce whispers, but she smiles at her son and motions him forward. "Shh, get over here," she tells him. Bruce nods and crosses the room, curling up on the couch next to his mother and putting his head on her lap. The present day. Mayor Gordon and Martha Wayne find themselves on the streets of Gotham, investigating one of the party animal crates. What the hell is it with these? Martha asks as she pulls out one of the masks. But Jim sees the crowd of masked citizens coming towards them. Everyone is armed. "Hey you! Stop blocking that crate!" a man says as he stalks forward, a rifle in his hand. But Martha isn't paying attention. She pulls on the mask and marvels at the HUD inside. "My God, Jim, the money he's offering," she whispers as the list of crime payouts begin to scroll across the HUD. Jim nods and draws his old pistol, aiming it at the approaching man and shouting for him to stop. But Martha's eyes widen as the HUD scans Gordon and announces that there is a $1 million bounty on the mayor. "Mar, you need to get out of here, now!" Jim snaps at her. But she shakes her head, explaining that he's a party animal target. "So no, I'm not going anywhere. We need to stop this," she tells him as she pulls off the mask. Meanwhile, Julia Pennyworth is riding the Gotham Metro. Her phone buzzed with a citywide alert that everyone should stay inside due to the violent riots. But the doors open and masked thugs get on board, stalking towards her. Julia's eyes widen in fear as she reaches to call the police. But suddenly, someone grabs her from the shadows. Meanwhile, Oswald is flying his plane over the harbor. He glances back at his costumed friend, still angry about his secret. "You're f***ing Batman? And you didn't think it was something to mention?" he shouts at Bruce. But Bruce shakes his head as he pulls on his cowl and readies himself at the door. "I was trying to protect you, Ozzy. All of you," he says. He points down at his target below in the bay, not having the time to argue with his friend, reminding him that he needs to get on Cionis' yacht and shut down the servers that send messages to the party animal masks. Ozzy looks back in shock as Bruce prepares to jump. "Bruce, you do this and you're on your own. I barely have enough fuel to get back to Gotham. I can't stick around to save you," Oswald shouts at him. Bruce nods once and looks back at his friend. "I'm not asking you to, or anyone else," he says before leaping out into the night air. The cape catches the wind, slowing his descent as he steers towards the yacht. On board, Cionis' DJ is preparing to drop another beat, but he looks up at the last second to see Batman's boots slamming into his face. Batman moves quickly, grabbing hold of some of the life vests. He wraps one around the DJ and tosses him overboard. But Batman whirls at the sound of small approaching feet. "Kill you!" the little girl says as she slashes with her knife. But Batman just reaches down and picks her up by her purple hair. He stares at the girl for a moment before putting a life vest on her and punting her off into the water. Cionis' girlfriend comes up on deck, curious at the noise. But she stops when she sees Batman standing there, smiling menacingly at her. The woman shakes her head and turns, leaping over the railing and into the water. Batman stares at her for a moment, shrugs and tosses her a life vest. Meanwhile in Gotham, more civilians are approaching Jim and Martha, wanting the party animal masks and weapons. Gordon still holds his old service weapon ready. "Back away! For the sake of the whole city!" Jim shouts at them. Martha nods as she stands at Jim's back. "You can threaten all you want, but Mayor Gordon and I aren't giving you these masks," she snaps. But more masked thugs show up, aiming their weapons as they realize that Jim and Martha have bounties on their heads. "Check the values on them. They're each worth $1 million, one of the thugs shouts. At the airport, Alfred has saved Julia and brought her to his plane, but she glares at him, ordering him not to take off. "I have a life, Dad. I have people I care about. I know it's a foreign concept to you, but I need to be with them right now, while they're hurting," she tells him. Alfred nods, explaining that he'll bring her back to Gotham in a few weeks. "I've seen the aftermath in places where Black Mask does this kind of thing. Right now, I can't risk you being here," he explains to her. But she turns and glares at him. There's no place I want to be less than on a plane with you. And I promise you this, if we take off, I don't have a father anymore, she snaps. Alfred closes his eyes, sighing deeply. Finally, he turns to the waiting pilot. Wheels up, Captain, he orders. Back on the yacht, Batman turns as Cionis leaps from the top deck, bellowing with rage. But Batman meets the attack with a kick to the criminal's stomach that launches him back. Cionis stumbles away, gasping for breath. You still don't get it! You think you can stop them? You think you can stop anything? Cionis gasps. Batman roars with anger and rushes at him, slamming into the villain hard enough to send him through the wall. Go on, keep talking! Batman bellows. He grabs 2 bowling balls and begins to slam them into Cionis' head. The 2 go through the floor, slamming into Black Mask's secret chamber. Tell me again how I don't matter. I love it! Batman snarls as he hits Cionis again and again, the strange masks watching them. But Cionis isn't done yet, and he grabs a garrote and wraps it around Batman's throat, pulling it tight and drawing blood. Batman's vision begins to darken. Images flash before his eyes. Bruce sits on the couch with his mother. He finally looks at the photo albums that she is looking at. Images of his father as a young man. Pictures of Bruce's first steps. His eyes finally land on a picture that was taken at the zoo, the day his father died. Bruce can't understand why she kept that one. I love this one, she tells him softly. She explains that no matter how hard times got in the city, Thomas was always hopeful, always saw the best in people, and he was always the most hopeful when he was with Bruce. She smiles and pulls her son close, tears glistening in both their eyes. Batman grits his teeth. His gaze shifts down at Cionis. The bat ears on his cowl suddenly shift forward, and Batman brings his head down to stab them through Cionis' mask. The villain lets out a scream of pain as he rolls around in agony. Batman stands, unwrapping the garrote and throwing it away. He reaches down, wrapping a life vest around Cionis' throat. You lunatic! You'll lose everything! Everyone you love! I promise you, you have no idea what you've started! Cionis gasps, but Batman says nothing and tosses him over the side. Finally alone, he moves through the yacht, finding the server room quickly. He draws a belt of grenades and pulls the pin, tossing the belt into the room and moving away. The explosion rips apart the yacht, sending it to the bottom of the harbor. Back in the city, the thugs are preparing themselves to kill the mayor. I saw your faces before you put those masks on. You shoot him, and after all this is over, I will make sure you pay for it, Martha yells at them. But the thugs raise their weapons. You're better than this! You hear me? We are better than this, she continues. The thug shakes his head and takes the safety off his weapon. I'm sorry, Mrs. Wayne, he says softly as he takes aim. But suddenly, the system goes down and the HUD goes blank. The thugs stop and pull off their masks, looking at them with curiosity. It's dead. Does that mean there's no money? One of them asks. The entire city has suddenly gone quiet. The violence ended almost immediately. Martha steps forward and punches the man who almost killed her, knocking him to the ground before turning back and hugging Jim. Meanwhile, Batman is sinking to the bottom of Gotham Harbor, but someone pulls him out of the water and onto a sub. Alfred grunts as he drags the younger man's large body. Kid. If I'm sticking around, so are you, he says softly as he lays Batman down and reaches for his medkit. Now, let's get you patched up. somewhere else, in an unknown location, a pale man is sitting in a large white room. Strange red bodies draped over him. Another man comes into the chamber. "Sir, Cionis is reporting. It seems there's been a small snag in Gotham City," he reports. The pale man nods and begins to move. The strange, bloody bodies seem to give him vitality as he stands, his skin becoming a normal shade once more. "It's time," he says softly. "Get Bane."
And there you have it. What did you guys think of today's full story? The Absolute Universe has been pretty fun so far, and if you want to watch them as they come out, be sure to check out the Comicstorian main channel. Otherwise, stay tuned here for when future full stories come to the channel. I'm Dan with Comicstorian, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.